Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Florida Keys and Key West. It's nice to see some names on there that I recognise, so hello to everyone. For those that don't know me, I am Emma Cashmore and I am the UK representative for our beautiful destination, the Florida Keys. And this afternoon, I'm going to take you on a whistle-stop tour of all things that you can let your clients know you can do down in the Florida Keys. So before we get started, just to highlight the location, we are the string of islands underneath the main state of Florida. We're connected by the Overseas Highway, which is 125 miles long and is actually made up of 42 bridges. The Florida Keys is actually made up of over 800 small islands and is home to the world's third largest barrier reef. So within the Florida Keys, we have 5 distinct areas, which are Key Largo, Islamorada, Marathon, Big Pine Key and the Lower Keys, and Key West. And from the UK, the most common airport where you would fly into would be Miami, where there are numerous direct flights. The drive down from Miami to Key Largo, which is the first key, is about a 60-minute drive. You could also fly into Fort Lauderdale, which would be about a 90-minute drive to Key Largo, or from Orlando, it could be maybe 5 to 6 hours. In Key West, we also have an international airport, so you can also travel via a one-stop option in the US for one of the ways as well. We do have an online training program called the Key Lime Academy, so please do register. It's got some fun facts, interactive quizzes, and lots of information about the Florida Keys. And we're home to the only living barrier reef in the continental United States. So our first stop is Key Largo, known as the dive capital of the world. Key Largo is home to tropical hardwoods, winding creeks. It's got 2 state parks, a national park, and a portion of National Marine Sanctuary, and it boasts a fantastic botanical scene. We have a range of accommodations from small, friendly owned properties to luxurious resorts. There's a few of the shots on here. And we have several resorts that are situated on the bayside, which allows for fantastic relaxation opportunities, kayaking, paddleboarding. Additionally, Key Largo, as I mentioned, is known as the dive capital of the world. But if you aren't a keen dive fan, you can still experience the underwater visions by snorkeling or going on a glass bottom boat tour. In the John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park, which is up in Key Largo, they have a great glass bottom boat tour. And because the water is, the visibility is so good, you still get to experience the beautiful colours of the corals. And Key Largo is flanked by the Everglades National Park to the west. So for kayakers, it's a great spot to do a kayaking tour through the mangroves and exploring the Everglades National Park. Everglades is the only place where crocodiles and alligators cohabit together. And we also have some ecotourism sites that you could go and explore by foot, helping you to discover Key Largo's natural wonders. So next we come down to Islamorada, which is known as the sport fishing capital of the world. From Key Largo to Islamorada, it is probably around a 30 to 45-minute drive. And in Islamorada, you can do all sorts of fishing year round, from deep sea fishing to flat bottom boat fishing. And even for non-anglers, this is a great activity to do. You can either charter a captain with your boat or take a boat out on your own, but just being engulfed in the sky and the ocean in the middle of nowhere is an absolutely wonderful experience. And at certain resorts throughout the Florida Keys, you can arrive in style by seaplane if you are planning a special holiday for a customer. So there are a number of hotels and accommodations in Islamorada dotted along the Overseas Highway. The Postcard Inn will be reopening in June and it will be called the Three Waters and it will have 145 rooms. And the Chica Lodge and Spa is more of a high-end hotel with a villa product called the Casitas, and that has 214 keys. The Moorings, which you can see there, is a smaller resort with just 18 rooms, and these are like small cottages, so they're ideal for families. And next we come down to Marathon, which is the heart of the Keys and is about a 30-minute drive from Islamorada. It's home to the 7 Mile Bridge, which is still to this day one of the longest bridges in the world because it's made in one piece, in one section. So some of our properties in Marathon, we have the Hawke's Cay Resort, which is an excellent family option. It has a number of children's pools, a natural lagoon for swimming, and a great children's club. And there are either hotel rooms here, or you can also have villa properties as well. So great families and perhaps a longer stay duration. Isla Bella is a high-end, more luxurious resort. It opened in about 2019, and that has 199 rooms with a number of pools, including an adult pool as well, if you wanted a quiet sun lounging area. And Grassy Flats is a small, intimate resort with just 10 rooms. So there's a whole contrast in each key to suit all of your clients' needs. On the way through Marathon, you pass Pigeon Quay at the 7 Mile Bridge. And this is actually a museum, and it tells the story of the railroad workers which built the Henry Flagler Railroad. So the overseas highway was once the Henry Flagler Railroad, and it was the only thing that connected Key West to the mainland. And they were building it circa around 1912. So this museum is a great way to explore, see the history of how they lived during that time. And it's also a perfect place for some Instagram and photo opportunities. And Marathon is a very child-friendly area. So we've got the Turtle Hospital where you can visit and learn all about the turtles, and visit the turtle ward where the turtles are healing before they're released back to the ocean. And on a regular basis, when the turtle is rehabilitated, the Turtle Hospital will put a note on their website and let you know the beach that the turtle's going to be released at, so that the public can go down and actually watch it being released back into the ocean. And if you have got clients down there with children at this time, it's a really educational thing to go and watch. It's a free activity. You know, a big deal's made of it. Loads of crowds gather. So it's certainly something I would recommend to your customers. We also have the Dolphin Research Centre, which is a non-profit organisation set up in 1984 with the goal to ensure the dolphins had a home down in the Florida Keys for life, and in doing so to establish a unique education and research facility. And we have some lovely beaches down in the Marathon area, including Bahia Honda State Park, which you can see in my picture here, which the beach has been voted as one of America's top 10. And we also have Annie's Beach, where sometimes on a Sunday afternoon, you'll find the local Keys people gathering for a Sunday picnic. As we come down to Big Pine Key and the Lower Keys, this is around another 30 minutes down south. And this area is very much known as the Natural Keys or the Backcountry. And here you would come to relax and be at one with nature. There are many isolated sand flats to relax on like this and just get away from it all. Or you can go kayaking through many of the mangrove tunnels. We have a number of wildlife sanctuaries, including the Great White Heron Sanctuary, which are these beautiful great white herons. And these herons are mostly found in southern Florida. And you'll also see some of the beautiful pink roseate spoonbills as well, flying around in amongst the mangroves. Or you can take a visit to the National Key Deer Refuge, where you can get up close and personal to the key deer. These little guys, they're about 2 foot tall, so they're small deers and they're indigenous to the area. So just imagine yourself here in the Natural Keys. It's definitely one for a good camera. In the Lower Keys, we have the well-known Little Palm Island, which is a luxury property. It's probably our most luxurious property along the island chain. And the only way to get to it is by seaplane or speedboat. It has just 30 villas on its private island, so it's definitely one for a honeymoon stay or a really romantic getaway. And finally, we come down to Key West, again, another 30 minutes on. So we say Key West is close to perfect and far from normal. It's just a small metropolis, just 4 miles wide by 4 miles long by 2 miles wide. And the main street is Duval Street, where you have the southernmost point right at the end. And Duval Street cuts through the heart of old downtown Key West. When you're in Key West, you don't really need a car. So you can either leave it in the car park, in the hotel, or return it back to the rental place. The best way to get around is on push bike or foot or on the local Conch trolley train, which is a hop on, hop off service. And in Key West, you'll find many museums, including the Ernest Hemingway Museum, the Shipwreck Museum, or the Harry Truman Little White House. You'll also find the Mel Fisher Museum, which is my favourite museum. And I always like to tell this story because it's actually quite recent. But Mel Fisher was a modern day pirate, and he spent his life searching for the treasures of a sunken Spanish galleon off the shores of Key West. And in 1973, he started to find the gold bars and gold cannons, and eventually he discovered a haul worth $450 million. And the state of Florida claimed title to the wreck and demanded 25% of the loot. But Mel Fisher took them to court, and 8 years later, the court ruled in Mel Fisher's favour. So to this day, you can tour the museum and learn all about his life whilst admiring some of the treasures. And then in Old Town Key West, you'll see many of the beautiful conch houses dotted around, lining the streets, and some of these are now guest houses and provide a nice option to stay. We also have other properties, including a luxury property, Sunset Key, which is also on its own private island, and it's just a short 3-minute ferry boat ride from Key West. We have the southernmost guest house, which is a Victorian era hotel, and it just has 13 rooms, and that's right at the bottom of Duval Street. And we have the Pier House Resort and Spa, which provides beautiful sunsets. Talking of sunsets, Key West is truly at the end of the United States. In fact, Key West is actually nearer to Cuba than it is to mainland Florida. And therefore, the sunset is something out of this world. You're literally on the end. And it's something that we celebrate nightly. So you can either do that on a nightly sunset sail on a tall ship or a catamaran, or go to Mallory Square, which is the main square in Key West, where street performers and vendors gather to wait for the sun to set. And when the sun does set, the whole square just erupts into clapping and cheering, and it's a great festival atmosphere every night. So Key West has a very quirky nightlife where live music can always be heard, and the streets are dotted with a variety of restaurants and bars offering all types of cuisine, from local establishments to high-end fine dining restaurants. And of course, a visit to Key West is not complete without having a mojito in Sloppy Joe's, which was Hemingway's favourite bar. So I said that Key West was quirky. So across the year, we have numerous festivals that you can spectate at or join in if you would like, including the Hemingway Days Festival, where they try to find the best lookalike of Ernest Hemingway, and our Fantasy Fest, which is probably our staple festival, where you'll see all sorts of dressing up and different sights, a big carnival parade, which takes place in October. And just one last thing to touch on before I sign off, I wanted to flag a wonderful day trip from Key West, which is the Dry Tortugas National Park. To get here, you take a ferry, which is approximately 2 hours each way, or a seaplane. And when you're at the park, it has beautiful white, sandy, powdery beaches, great coral reefs to snorkel, and a wonderful history, actually touring the Fort Jefferson Fort, which is one of the largest in the US. So that's a great, the pictures, the photos that you get from the top of the fort, it's just 7 different shades of blue. So that concludes my whistle stop tour of the Florida Keys and Key West. Does anybody have any questions for me? We do have a poll, so please go in and complete the poll as well. Any questions? Okay, I'm looking. No questions. You're being an easy crowd. I know I was the last session, so maybe you're all tired. Maybe you all need a Key West mojito. Great. Thank you, everybody. And here are my contact details. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. And we look forward to welcoming you and your guests in the Florida Keys soon. Thank you. Bye bye.